The silent world. Commander Elena Vasquez felt something cold settle in her stomach as the survey ship Meridian dropped out of hyperspace. The viewscreen should have shown the blue-green marble of Harmony Station's planet, with its orbital research facilities glittering like jewels around it. Instead, there was only darkness and the slow tumble of debris. "Status report," Elena commanded, though she already knew the answer would be terrible. Lieutenant Park, her communications officer, worked frantically at his console. "No response from any station frequency, Commander, not even automated distress beacons." Elena had commanded survey missions for 12 years. She had seen equipment failures, natural disasters, even pirate attacks. But Harmony Station had been different. It was humanity's greatest achievement in peaceful space exploration, home to 50,000 researchers, farmers, teachers, and their families. The colony had been completely dedicated to scientific advancement and cultural exchange with friendly alien species. "Take us closer," Elena ordered, "but keep shields at maximum." As the Meridian approached what remained of the colony, the scope of destruction became clear. The orbital research platforms had been systematically destroyed, not by accident or natural disaster, but by directed energy weapons of enormous power. The planet's surface showed massive crater patterns where cities had once stood. "Commander," called out Dr. Sarah Kim from the science station, "I'm reading massive radiation signatures. These are weapons patterns I've never seen before." Elena studied the tactical display. The attack had been thorough and methodical. Nothing had been left to chance. Whoever did this had wanted to erase every trace of human presence. "Any survivors?" Elena asked, though hope was fading fast. "Negative on life signs," Park reported. "But Commander, I'm picking up a data cache from the emergency vault. It's buried deep in the planetary crust." Elena's training took over. Evidence was crucial. Prepare a recovery team, full environmental suits, and maximum caution. The recovery mission took 6 hours. What they found in the emergency vault painted a picture that made Elena's blood run cold. Security recordings showed the attack in horrifying detail. A fleet of sleek silver ships had appeared without warning. They had ignored all communication attempts from the colonists. Instead, they had begun systematic destruction of every human installation. The final recording came from Dr. Marcus Webb, the colony's director. He was speaking into his personal log as explosions shook the building around him. "This is Director Webb of Harmony Station. We are under attack by forces we cannot identify. They responded to our peaceful overtures with violence. They are not taking prisoners. They are not demanding surrender. They are simply killing everyone." His voice broke. "Tell Earth that we tried to be peaceful. Tell them we tried to show the galaxy that humans could be trusted. Tell them." The recording ended in static. But there was more. The attackers had left a message, broadcast on all frequencies after the slaughter was complete. Elena played it for her crew on the bridge of the Meridian. The voice was artificial, translated by the ship's computer from an unknown alien language. "This transmission is for the species that calls itself human. You have spread too far and too fast across the galaxy. You claim to be peaceful, but your rapid expansion threatens the established order. The Carathian Empire has decided that humanity must be contained. The destruction of this colony is your first and only warning. Remain within your home system or face complete extermination. The Carathian Empire has spoken." The bridge fell silent. Elena looked at her crew and saw her own emotions reflected on their faces: anger, grief, and something else: determination. "Set course for Earth," Elena commanded. "Maximum speed." "Set course for Earth," Elena commanded. "Maximum speed." The journey back to Earth took 3 weeks. During that time, Elena's crew worked around the clock to prepare their evidence. Every recording, every piece of wreckage, every trace of the attack was catalogued and analyzed. By the time they reached Earth, they had assembled a complete picture of what the galaxy now knew about humanity's supposed weakness. Elena had requested an immediate audience with the United Earth Council. She found herself standing in the great assembly hall where representatives from every nation and colony gathered to make decisions for humanity's future. The weight of 50,000 lives rested on her shoulders. Council members, Elena began, her voice steady despite her emotions. 3 weeks ago, Harmony Station and all 50,000 of its inhabitants were murdered by the Carathian Empire. They were killed not because they posed a threat, but because they existed, because they were human. She activated the holographic display showing the recordings from the colony's final moments. The assembled representatives watched in horrified silence as the evidence unfolded. When the Carathian message played, declaring humanity must be contained, angry murmurs filled the chamber. Secretary General Martinez stood slowly. She was an elderly woman who had seen humanity through its first steps into space and its first contact with alien civilizations. Her voice carried the weight of experience when she spoke. Commander Vasquez, on behalf of humanity, I thank you for bringing us this truth. The question now is what we do with it. Elena had been dreading this moment. Madam Secretary General, the Carathians have made their position clear. They see us as insects to be stepped on when we become inconvenient. They believe humans are weak and will submit to threats. And what do you recommend, C's? Commander? Elena took a deep breath. I recommend we show them exactly how wrong they are. The debate that followed lasted 18 hours. Some representatives called for diplomatic solutions. Others demanded immediate military response. Elena watched from the gallery as humanity's leaders struggled with a decision that would shape their species' future. Finally, Secretary General Martinez called for order. The Carathian Empire has declared war on humanity by their actions. They have murdered our citizens and demanded our submission. The United Earth Council hereby authorizes Project Avalanche. Elena had never heard of Project Avalanche, but the reaction in the chamber told her it was significant. Representatives who had been calling for diplomacy suddenly looked grimly satisfied. After the session, Elena was approached by a man in an admiral's uniform she didn't recognize. He was tall, with gray hair, and eyes like steel. Commander Vasquez, I'm Admiral Chen Rodriguez, Director of Strategic Fleet Operations. I'd like you to come with me. Elena followed the Admiral through corridors deep beneath the Council building. They passed through multiple security checkpoints before arriving at a massive command center filled with holographic displays and busy technicians. What is Project Avalanche? Elena asked. Admiral Rodriguez smiled, but it wasn't a pleasant expression. Project Avalanche is what happens when humanity stops pretending to be defenseless. For the past 50 years, while we've been building peaceful research colonies and cultural exchange programs, we've also been building something else. The central display activated, showing a schematic that made Elena's breath catch. It was a warship, but unlike anything in the current Earth fleet. The design was sleek, powerful, and unmistakably built for war. Dreadnought-class battleship, Rodriguez explained. Each one carries enough firepower to level a continent. Each one has armor that can withstand direct hits from anything in known space. Each one is crewed by the finest officers humanity can produce. Elena studied the schematic. How many do we have? Rodriguez's smile became genuine. Commander, that's the wrong question. The right question is, how many can we build? The display changed, showing industrial facilities across human space. Mining operations on asteroids, shipyards hidden in the outer planets, factories that had been disguised as civilian installations. The scale was staggering. For 50 years, while other species saw us as peaceful farmers and scientists, we've been preparing for exactly this scenario. The Carathians think they're dealing with helpless colonists. They're about to discover they've awakened a sleeping giant. Elena felt a chill of anticipation. How long until the fleet is ready? 6 months, Rodriguez replied. 6 months to build, outfit, and crew the largest battle fleet in galactic history. 500,000 dreadnoughts, Commander. 500,000 ships, each one crewed by humans who remember what happened to Harmony Station. Elena looked at the display showing the massive construction effort already beginning across human space. Civilian factories were being converted to military production. Mining operations were shifting to produce military-grade materials. The entire human civilization was transforming itself into a war machine. What about the other alien species? Elena asked. Won't they intervene? Rodriguez pulled up another display, showing the galactic political map. The Korathians have been bullying smaller species for centuries. Most of the galaxy is afraid of them, but they secretly hope someone will put them in their place. When humanity arrives with 500,000 dreadnoughts, I think we'll find more allies than enemies. Elena thought about the children's drawings they had found floating in the debris of Harmony Station, about the research projects that would never be completed, about the 50,000 people who had died simply for being human. Admiral, she said quietly, I want to be part of this. I want to be there when we show the Korathians what humanity is really capable of. Rodriguez nodded approvingly. I was hoping you'd say that, Commander. How do you feel about a promotion to captain and command of your own dreadnought? Elena looked at the display showing the mighty warships under construction. Each one represented humanity's answer to the Korathian ultimatum. Each one carried the promise that the galaxy would learn to respect human determination. When do I start? She asked. The iron response. 6 months later, Captain Elena Vasquez stood on the bridge of her dreadnought, the Harmony's Vengeance, and watched the most incredible sight in human history unfold before her. The assembly point was Jupiter Station, normally a quiet refueling depot for commercial ships. Now it was the staging ground for humanity's response to galactic aggression. 500,000 dreadnoughts floated in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming with the blue-white light of their energy shields. Each ship was 2 kilometers long, bristling with weapons that had been designed by humanity's finest engineers. The sight was both beautiful and terrifying. All ships report ready for departure, announced Commander Park, who had served with Elena on the Meridian and requested transfer to her new command. Fleet Admiral Rodriguez is requesting final status reports. Elena activated her command console. Around her, the bridge crew worked with quiet efficiency. These were not the same people who had discovered the ruins of Harmony Station. They had been transformed by 6 months of intensive training and an unshakable purpose. They were no longer explorers or researchers. They were warriors. This is Captain Vasquez of the Harmony's Vengeance. All systems green, crew at battle stations, ready for jump to Korathian space. The response came from 500,000 ships, 500,000 captains, each commanding a crew of 800 humans, all united by a single goal: show the galaxy that humanity would not be intimidated. Fleet Admiral Rodriguez's voice echoed across the fleet communication system. Captains and crews of the United Earth Fleet, 6 months ago, the Korathian Empire murdered 50,000 of our people. They called us weak. They demanded our submission. Today, we give them our answer. Elena felt a surge of pride as she looked at her tactical display. The fleet formation was perfect, a demonstration of human organizational skill that would have been impossible for most species to achieve. But humans had always excelled at working together when survival was at stake. All ships, prepare for hyperspace jump. Destination, Korathian home system. Let's go introduce ourselves. The jump to Korathian space took 6 hours. When the fleet emerged from hyperspace, they found themselves facing the heart of an empire that had terrorized the galaxy for centuries. The Korathian home system contained 12 inhabited worlds and the largest military installation in known space. Elena watched her sensor display as it catalogued the enemy forces. 3,000 Korathian warships were stationed throughout the system, along with hundreds of defensive platforms and orbital fortifications. By any reasonable military calculation, it should have been an impressive defense. Against 500,000 human dreadnoughts, it looked pathetic. Open a channel to the Korathian Military Command, Admiral Rodriguez ordered. Let's see if they remember their own ultimatum. The main screen flickered and showed a Korathian commander. The alien looked like a cross between a lizard and an insect, with multiple eyes and mandibles that clicked when it spoke. Elena had seen recordings of the species before, but this was her first real-time contact. Unknown fleet, you are violating Korathian space. Withdraw immediately or face destruction. Admiral Rodriguez stepped forward, his uniform pristine, his expression calm. I am Fleet Admiral Rodriguez of the United Earth Navy. 6 months ago, your empire destroyed one of our colonies and demanded that humanity remain within our home system. We've come to discuss the terms of your surrender. The Carathian commander's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of confusion. Surrender? You dare threaten the Carathian Empire with your primitive vessels? Elena smiled grimly. The Carathians still didn't understand what they were facing. The alien commander was looking at the human fleet, but seeing only the small exploration ships they had encountered before. Admiral, Elena called out, recommend we provide a demonstration. Rodriguez nodded. All ships, target the asteroid mining facility in Sector 7. Fire 1 salvo, minimum power. Elena watched as every ship in the fleet adjusted their aim toward a massive industrial complex built into an asteroid. The facility was heavily shielded and defended, representing decades of Carathian engineering. Fire. 500,000 dreadnoughts fired simultaneously. The asteroid and everything on it vanished in a flash of light that briefly outshone the system's star. When the energy discharge faded, there was nothing left but expanding plasma. The Carathian commander's multiple eyes widened. Impossible. Our sensors must be malfunctioning. No species possesses weapons of such power. Your sensors are working perfectly, Rodriguez replied calmly. What you're seeing is what happens when humans decide to stop being polite. Now, shall we discuss your surrender, or would you like another demonstration? Elena could see the debate raging on the Carathian command ship. Emergency communications were flying between their vessels as they tried to process what they had witnessed. The mathematical reality was undeniable. If 500,000 human ships could destroy an industrial facility with a single minimum power salvo, they could sterilize every planet in the system within minutes. How? The Carathian commander finally asked. 6 months ago, humans possessed no significant military forces. Admiral Rodriguez's expression became cold as winter. 6 months ago, you murdered 50,000 human civilians and threatened our entire species. Did you really think we would do nothing? Did you believe your own propaganda about human weakness? Elena accessed the fleet database and pulled up the industrial reports. In 6 months, humanity had converted its entire civilization to war production. Mining operations throughout human space had been expanded tenfold. Shipyards had been constructed at every available location. The entire population had worked around the clock to build the fleet that now dominated Carathian space. For 50 years, Rodriguez continued, humanity has been building our industrial capacity while maintaining peaceful relations with our neighbors. You forced us to show you what that capacity could produce when properly motivated. The truth was even more impressive than the numbers suggested. Humanity had not simply built 500,000 warships. They had built them better than anything the galaxy had ever seen. Each dreadnought incorporated technologies that other species had deemed impossible. Human engineering, driven by necessity and backed by unlimited resources, had achieved miracles. What do you want? The Carathian commander asked. Elena felt a moment of satisfaction. 6 months ago, this same species had been dictating terms to humanity. Now they were asking what humans wanted. First, Rodriguez replied, you will broadcast a message throughout the galaxy acknowledging that your ultimatum to humanity was withdrawn. Second, you will provide reparations for the families of those killed at Harmony Station. Third, you will never again threaten human colonies or citizens. The Carathian commander's mandibles clicked frantically. And if we refuse? Rodriguez gestured to the massive fleet surrounding them. Then we demonstrate what happens when you murder human children and threaten our families. I have 500,000 ships crewed by people who remember Harmony Station. They are not feeling particularly merciful. Elena watched the enemy fleet through her tactical display. Carathian ships were slowly backing away from their positions, their commanders clearly unwilling to test human capabilities further. The psychological impact was exactly what humanity had intended. The galaxy needed to understand that humans were not helpless victims. You have 1 hour to decide, Rodriguez announced. Comply with our terms or face the consequences. The channel closed. Elena looked around her bridge and saw the same quiet satisfaction on every face. They had done something unprecedented in galactic history. A species that had been dismissed as weak had assembled the largest military force ever seen and used it to dictate terms to one of the galaxy's major powers. 37 minutes later, the Carathian response came. The Carathian Empire agrees to your terms. Elena felt a surge of triumph, but Admiral Rodriguez's expression remained serious. This is only the beginning, he announced to the fleet. The galaxy is watching our response to aggression. They need to understand that humanity values peace, but we will not be victims. As the human fleet prepared to return to Earth, Elena reflected on what they had accomplished. 6 months ago, humanity had been seen as a minor species with peaceful intentions and limited capabilities. Now they had proven that human industrial capacity, when properly motivated, could achieve the impossible. The journey back to human space took 3 days. During that time, news of the confrontation spread throughout the galaxy. Species that had been intimidated by the Carathians for centuries suddenly found hope. Diplomatic messages poured in from civilizations requesting trade agreements and mutual defense pacts. When the fleet arrived at Earth, they were greeted by celebrations across human space. But Elena knew the real victory was not the military demonstration. It was the message they had sent to the galaxy. Humanity was peaceful by choice, not weakness. They valued diplomacy and cooperation, but they would defend themselves and their allies with overwhelming force when necessary. Standing on the bridge of the Harmony's vengeance as Earth grew larger on the view screen, Elena thought about the children who had died at Harmony Station. Their sacrifice had not been forgotten. It had been the catalyst that transformed humanity from a species to be dismissed into a force that demanded respect. The galaxy had learned a lesson that would not be forgotten. When you threaten human children, humanity answers with steel, 500,000 ships worth of steel, backed by the determination of an entire species that refuses to be intimidated. And across human space, the shipyards continued building, ready for the next species that might mistake human peaceful intentions for weakness.